G'day guys, welcome to the SC Playbook question and answer podcast out of NRL Supercoach round 25. Tim Williams on deck live from the heart of the Snowy Mountains, home of the Cooma Stallions. We're going live and unfortunately the Stallions themselves, a bit like their NRL Supercoach namesake, not the best year of all time. So they didn't make the final. So we won't be watching the Stals live this weekend, but we are recording very much remotely this week, but the show must go on despite being away. And if you watch it on YouTube, we've got a bit of Canberra Raiders merch in the background, signed jerseys, all sorts of things. So studio, it's not bad for a little makeshift one. All righty, guys, today's show, I'll update my trade and skipper plans, the late mail for the week, and a little bit coming in there as well. So stay tuned for that one, and then we'll get into the questions from the SC Playbook subscriber Discord community. Starting off with the late mail, though, and Latrell Mitt ruled out of the clash against the Warriors this week. Not surprising as such, and I don't think there's going to be massive Supercoach ramifications. That being said, he was expected when he does return, according to Wayne Bennett, to play off the bench and play probably limited minutes as they ease him back into action. And when he came on, I assume that would push probably Tallis Duncan to the edge back row. I would assume Ewan Aitken goes off, but I don't know. Does Tallis get a spell? Probably not. Does Fafita get a spell, which would be relevant potentially? But I would imagine it would be Ewan Aitken that would go off, and nothing majorly would change. But yeah, Latrell Mitt, what it does mean is playing, when he does return, maybe it's next week in reduced minutes, anyone looking for an end-of-season fly with a starting Trell Mitt, well, with a lot of money in the bank, I just don't think that's going to happen. So not getting any minutes under his belt this week probably puts a line through Trelly Mitt for the season. One on Big Payne Haas. My heart nearly stopped when I saw this. Payne Haas in doubt from the World Cup via NRL Physio and Peter Bedell, I think originally with it from the Courier Mail, but Madge saying that he needs surgery on a finger injury post-season. So, yeah, hopefully really for the World Cup's sake that Big Payne Haas is good to go for that one. But, yeah, it looks in a little bit of doubt, but as far as it stands at the moment, he's still playing. I don't know how bad this surgery is or what the time frame sort of is, but for his Supercoach owners out there, I'm one of them. Yeah, I don't know. Does he finish the season a few weeks early and get that done, trying to get back for Samoa? My medical knowledge of busted fingers, not strong. You'd be stunned to know. But yeah, one to keep an eye out on with the Broncos season done. So don't love that for him. I had some stats on Payne Haas around his lack of offloading this year. It does look as though, at least according to the picture that Fizz used, that it's left hand. So I'd imagine he'd probably more the right hand dominant with his offload. So whether or not that it might not have probably impacted too much. I'd need to see whether he's the left hand or right hand carrier. I'd assume it'd be a right hand. But anyway, yeah, just one to monitor moving forward and not ideal for Supercoach. Francis Manu Leilua, delayed concussion symptoms there for the big fella. Obviously not named for the Knights this week. And for owners out there in the Knights, hey, let's hope that he can get on top of that. And for Big Francis' sake, more than anyone, that he can get on top of that and be back on deck next week for the Knights finals charge. And yeah, Luke Metcalf, we've sort of spoken about it, but gone for at least 3 weeks, so it sounds like he won't be back for the regular season, with Tamari Martin soon to return from a calf injury, potentially next week. That could be a handy number for those that held Tamari Martin moving forward. And the other one, and let me emphasise very, very highly that this is completely speculative, hasn't been reported as such, but just a few rumours circling around a potential Teddy and Mark Manganita was a rest from that game against the Tigers on Sunday. Look, they've both been named, so they also could have very easily made the decision to just not name them and not play them. So there could be absolutely nothing in it. So guys, don't panic. But it is worth noting. I think more than anything, I think you probably need to have alternative trade plans in place if Teddy doesn't play, because I don't think him sitting out with that ongoing ankle issue would surprise anyone. But I think just the Martin Wanganita-Waze one, he's potentially in my trade plans this week. If you're planning on trading him, or you're an owner of him, you've got trades in the bank, or you're not playing someone earlier in the week, whatever it might be, just have a plan in place if those two were to miss. Mark Manganita-Waze, I think he's well over 50% owned at this stage and a popular trade target this week for the Tigers clash. So big ones there. Keep an eye out for it. But again, completely speculative at this stage. By the time the potty goes live, there might be something in concrete. But yeah, it's just a few rumours circling. So watch this space around the Roosters. All righty, guys, let's get stuck into things for the week. But before we do, the NordVPN security player of the week, Big David Feeder. I've mentioned him throughout the week. And when I say security, I'm talking base and power stat beast that don't need to find attacking stats to secure you a strong score each and every week. A Supercoach superstar of the past, edging back towards his best footy, Big Fifi. 85 points on the weekend against the Dogs, 7 tackle busts, 19 runs, 68 points in base and power in total. A tick over 600k. Attitude's tremendous. Loving what I'm seeing from the big fella, and I sense a triple-digit score on the horizon. Maybe not this week because the Warriors are damn good, but there's going to be one by the end of the season. Mark my words. If you're after security online, look no further than NordVPN. We know the enormous benefits of having your private data protected online, but you can also reap the other benefits at the moment if you're leaving the country. You can stream every game of the NRL or any sport live and clear through your Nord account. You won't miss a minute. If you're heading off to Bali, imagine yourself poolside, your laptop out, bintang in hand, watching NRL finals footy. Premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/SC Playbook. And our link will give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link to that one is in the podcast episode description box. Now, let's get stuck into the questions for the week. And if you're watching on YouTube, I don't have the benefit of my big monitor behind the laptop and the camera, I should say. So if I'm looking a little bit down at the laptop, apologies. But look, first world problems, right? First question for the Tempe Tigers. Can you please rate who is the best VC, vice captaincy player out of Cleary, Herbie, and Ponga? All fantastic, I will say that. My rankings, though, would go Kalen Ponga at number 1. Number 2, narrowly Herbie Farnworth ahead of Nathan Cleary. I think they're all extremely viable. I look at a few factors. They're all playing teams that are battling. When I say that, like Parramatta and Herbie, Parramatta are on the improvement, but they're still Parramatta. They're still very low down on the table. Manly, I think they've lost 6 on the trot. I love that it's a day game. When I'm looking at big ceilings in players, I love day footy and the ability for just dry footy, if things go well, for that 150 plus. Ponga obviously not kicking goals hurts his ceiling a little bit at the moment, but I don't love Thursday night games for VCs. Night game down in Melbourne, winter, could be a bit dewy. So Herbie, also a night game, but that's in Queensland, so hopefully a bit drier there. I haven't checked the forecast for Brizzy actually at this stage, but yeah, I think the Knights, who now not only should be locked into the 8, but find themselves an outside chance for the top 4, especially with a bye to come. Yeah, they're playing for a lot, and Manly also playing for their slim finals chances as well, to be fair. So pros and cons to all, as always. But yeah, if it was me and I was a Ponga owner, Ponga would be my VC out of those 3. One coming in from Cronullian. I need to make up ground in my overall league with my mates. I'm currently 2nd out of 6. Nicely done, mate. I'm tossing up between trading in Sammy Walker and James Tedesco, and whoever I pick will be captained. If I trade in Sam Walker, I'll most likely be the only one in the league who has him, making him a pod. On the other hand, the whole league currently owns Tedesco. Who do you reckon I should trade in of the 2? Mate, I think you've answered your own question there, and I think it's Sam Walker. Head-to-head, if both play 80 minutes and Teddy's on deck and he doesn't rest, I like him more as the high upside play this week. Yes, I am aware Sam Walker just scored 207 a few weeks ago or a month ago, but I like Teddy. But you're 423 behind, 3 rounds to go. You know, no one cares about second. It's all about winning it. I think you've got a fair bit of work to do, and following with Teddy isn't going to achieve much. I think you need to go Sam Walker. You add in a few things. Firstly, Teddy might not even play this week. If he does play, do they get out to a big lead and he only plays a half of footy and gets rested, or even 50 or 60 minutes? If there's any concern around the ankle moving forward, does he miss, other weeks? Does he rest in round 26 or 27 with that ongoing concern? So yeah, look, I think it's answered in the fact that you're 423 behind and no one owns Sammy and everyone owns Teddy. So I think you have to go Sammy. If you're leading the way by 423 points, you just lock in Teddy and play it safe. And yeah, if Teddy gets ruled out this week and you get Sammy Walker in, it obviously makes your decision for you, but happy days. Alrighty, next one in from Ben Baggy. I need to free up cash to get in Teddy after Walsh's 1 point horror show. Let's just assume that Teddy's playing for the sake of these questions for now. Makasini to going to Sakuru, the Tigers centre. He says, is it better than enough? Depth is okay, but worried about injuries, restings, etc. 2 trades left after using 2 here. Yeah, mate, absolutely. He went well last week in obviously a losing cause against the Dragons, but a couple of tries in that game. But his stats really good. 91 points, 12 tackles, 2 tackle bars, a line break. The best one, though, 22 runs, 12 of which were over 8 metres. So to bring him in as look, it's the Roosters this week. He'll probably score 13, but the fact that you'll have a depth player as it stands, although Makasini, I think he's got a Hattie or something and killed it on the Wing Cup last week. We know if the Tigers, it could be, Makasini in next week and Sakura out, but you're also freeing up cash to, facilitate the Teddy trade as well. So, yeah, mate, do that. Don't worry about the nuff, and who knows, he might be a handy player in the last couple of rounds, depending on how things play out depth-wise. Alrighty, next question in from 40s F150s, the mighty Kuma Stallion. Not so mighty at the moment, mate, but hopefully 3 weeks to go, see if we can make some moves. Would you do Mulitalo to Billy Smith? Roosters spanking of the Tigers incoming, and I want to own both wingers for the Roosters. No, I wouldn't, mate. I love Billy Smith as a 1 week play, even as a 3 week play for the rest of the season. But 2 things I'll say about it: Billy Smith, can and will find an injury. Number 2, potential resting around 27. I don't know if the Roosters are going to be desperate to, if their minor premierships on the line or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but there's always a chance of resting there. Even if they don't mass rest, someone like Billy, who has had a torrid injury run, they've got depth there. Talau, Ramsey, they could rest him. We don't know. But Mulitalo, I understand it's been 2 down weeks, but what do we got? Titans into Eels into the Storm. The Storm won in round 27. That's at Shark Park as well. The Sharks playing for top 4. I don't like that trade. You might find this week Ronnie goes 60 and Billy goes 120, but a vital final trade in your team, and then the run that he has to come from the Sharkies, I just don't think it's worthwhile. You could also find that Billy Smith scores 80 this week and Ronnie goes nuts and scores a hat-trick for 130. So short term, I see what you're doing, but no, I wouldn't be doing that. Next question coming in from Adam. Hi, mate. Second time using the Q&A. Welcome back for the second time. And need as much of your help as possible. Let's see what we can do here, mate. I'm playing for head-to-head finals with 2 trades and 70K in the bank. I wanted to trade Wishy to Sharp and Sua for Sam Walker, but I don't have the funds. Even if I trade tomorrow, I'll still be 50K short. I'm thinking Wishy to Savala and Sua to Sam Walker. What's your thoughts, or is there another way around it? Adam, I like it. I think you're on top of it there, mate. A must-win. I assume it's probably your prelim final in head-to-head. I think Sam Walker could easily be the top-scoring player of this round. I think if Teddy's out, that only helps Sam Walker just because he'll be even more prominent in attack if that's possible. And I like Savala against the Tigers, against their shoddy edges. Yeah, they're 2 certainly 1 week upgrades. If we're not too concerned about next week, you might have trades in the bank. You might be able to get Sua back next week for the Broncos game. Who knows? But as far as this goes and trying to win your head-to-head prelim, good. Savala, not tremendous numbers at centre, but certainly okay. He's averaging, 73 minutes per game this year for 56 points per game. So in 80-minute games, that bumps up a fair bit as well because his lower minute games have all been like sub 30, 40-point scores. So he's probably averaging closer to the mid-60s. The Tigers matchup's brilliant. Great combination coming along there with Billy Smith. So, yeah, I think lock it in, ads. Wade Spear, one of the OGs. Would you play Grant or Pascoe? Leaning Grant for pedigree, but coming off an injury against Penrith has me doubtful. Cheers. Wado, I'd play Oliver Pascoe. I would. And Sam Verrills being off the bench this week is even better. Look, it's late in the season. The Titans are playing essentially for nothing but pride at this stage. And with Summerton on the bench, we don't know. Maybe Summerton comes on and plays some decent minutes. What I do know is Penrith will be going down there with a pretty ruthless attitude off the back of some losses. Melbourne, I don't know. I'm just not really confident in them. Harry, there's the chance of hamstring aggravation. There's the chance of less minutes, which is a massive chance if Penrith get out to a lead. What minutes does Harry realistically play? Especially World Cup at the end of the year. He's not going to want to push it too much if they're getting belted. Maybe will. I don't know. But I also think Pascoe's playing great footy. The minutes have been really strong. So whilst there's some risk of Summerton coming on and playing 30, no Verrills there is a big boost for it. And yeah, I'd play Oliver Pascoe at home against the Sharkies. I think it's reasonable. One in from the Colonel. He needs to sit Leka Halasima or David Fafita. Any suggestions? Yeah, I'd sit Leka. He was on mid-30s last week, and then he scored that try on the buzzer, which pushed him up to like 70-odd points. So got out of jail there a little bit, did Big Leka. Both both okay matchups, I should say. Leka on the left, he's going to be going at Jackie White and Campbell Graham, which is pretty solid defensively. That being said, there will be Bud Sullivan on that edge. So if they turn Big Leka underneath and can get one-on-one with Bud Sullivan, good luck, son. But I just think Fafita, he's belting out big scores just in his, as I mentioned before, his base and power is outstanding. A try last week, but that was I think it was off a kick in behind the line potentially. So I think Fafita, his base and power is outstanding. There's attacking upside there that we probably haven't seen the best of this season. And it's not saying Leka's a bad play, but of the two, I would be playing Dave Fafita. Tom Kelly, enjoy God's country, mate. Oh, I will. I freaking love this town so much if you haven't worked that one out. 3 trades left. Head-to-head must win. Can't do Walsh to Teddy in one trade. To fund it, I have 3 options. Fa'alongo to Marky Mark. Lukey to Leka. Alamotti, brackets, cheers for that. Ha ha. You're welcome, mate, anytime. To an under 400k CT dub such as Tungo, Sully, Perham. I don't need to play any, but would play Mark and Leka. I like Sua to Marky Mark. Obviously, assuming he's playing that matchup with the Tigers, that could win you head-to-head like that. I don't love Sua against Penrith this week. Sua's never a bad play by any means, but Marky Mark, get him in and fund the Teddy trade. Hello. Once again, if Marky Mark were to be ruled out or Teddy or whatever, have a backup plan. Hopefully you can maybe flip in like a Billy Smith or someone, a bit more expensive, but maybe there's another Roosters option there. Or look, the Sharkies got the Titans on Sunday, so maybe if there's news by then. Anyway, yeah, I think Sua to Marky Mark is the play there. Next one in from Bunga. Choice between 2 out of the following 4 on my bench. Grant, Fa'alongo, Iro, and Finifuiaki. I'd play Iro against the Titans. I'd probably play between Finifuiaki and Fa'alongo. I'd lean towards Finifuiaki. He'll be running at Ronald Volkman, so the better matchup there in my opinion. Playing great, just can't find an attacking stat, as I say each week. It has to come eventually. That being said, between Fa'alongo and Finifuiaki, not a lot in it. What's Sua going to do against Penrith? He might be fine and kill it. But yeah, I would probably go Iro and Finifuiaki, but no knock on obviously Fa'alongo in there. And yeah, I'd happily sit Grant. 3K U1. Who do you think is likely to score less out of Izzy Katoa and Jaden Campbell? Just thinking of sit v start, already looking to sit Halasima and Fafita. Out of Katoa and Jaden Campbell, I'd sit Izzy Katoa. Jaden's just a far more proven Supercoach player. Even when the Dolphins win well, Izzy Katoa cannot score overly well. JC has the benefit of goal kicking. Izzy Katoa has the far better matchup, don't get me wrong. I just think JC's a better Supercoach player. The thing is, Izzy Katoa, he's so good at going into the line, squaring up, and just creating so much space for his outside backs. That's why we see the wingers and the centres at the Finns just kill it week in, week out. And in the scoring system, Katoa just throws that first ball and sets up the whole play, and he doesn't often throw the last pass compared to a lot of other, prominent Supercoach playmakers. So, yeah, look, once again, Izzy Katoa has the better matchup, but JC is a better Supercoach player, so I'd be playing JC. Next question coming in from J That ES Disc. Guarantee I haven't read that right. Love your work, mate. Cheers, mate. Good luck to the mighty Stallions this week. Curly one. How do you feel about Psychopath Max Plath in at hooker over Grant or Brayley? Do we still think he'll get the full 80 minutes on the edge? My mate Roo, of the Guru variety, he mentioned in passing on Team List the other day on Beers and Break-Evens, Brian Panua is an edge back rower, and he said maybe comes in and either starts there or plays minutes there. So they've got him at centre on the website. been playing off the bench this year when he has played. So I don't know. Take that with one of the world's largest grains of salt. I'm with the Dolphins and their versatile forwards and the options they've got. I don't know is the answer to that. And I think when you can get Blake Bailey, I cannot believe Blake Bailey scored 47 last week with a try assist. I'm going to put that down to the fact that I brought him in 2 weeks ago and he decided to stop making tackles or something. Anywho, I think Brayley's the option. Titans, pretty leaky through the middle. I think you just go with Blake Brayley there and don't overthink it. All right, one from Bizarre that I'm not going to read out, but Bizarre, if you are listening in, I hope you are because you've asked a question. But to answer your question, Walsh to Sam Walker to me sounds wonderful. And or Marky Mark, whatever you want to do there. If you need the money, go Marky Mark, obviously. Lyndon, head-to-head player, sit B start question for the morning. Would you sit Sua, Iro, or Terrell May? Love your work. Thank you, mate. I would play Iro against the Titans. Oh, it's hard between Sua and Terrell May. If it was anyone but Penrith, who, to be fair, have lost a few games, I'd play Sua. You know what? I'd play Sua and Iro. I see this game panning out for the Tigers that they get belted like most. Whether that's 30-6 or 60-6, I don't know. But either way, it looks like it'll be one-way traffic in the way of the Roosters. I just think Terrell, I think there's very little upside in this game for him because if there's tries and line breaks, he's going to be doing a lot of scrambling. I think he'll tire himself out because he'll try and get through so much work, which is fine. But there'll be stoppages in play from, ball out of play from tries and all this sort of stuff. Maybe there's an early shower for him. I'm not sure. He could also play 80. We don't know. But I think he scores his 60-odd, which is fine, maybe 70, getting through a lot of tackles. But I think the Roosters' middles will dominate. They'll lock up offloads, any opportunity for attacking stats. Sua maybe goes low, but he tends not to. He's a weapon. And there's obviously upside in Sua. So, yeah, look, I'd go Sua and Iro, and I really don't mind Terrell May as a sit this week. If I had more options, I'd consider doing it myself. Alas, I do not. One from Dane, who has an absolute zinger in there, which I will not read aloud at the risk of getting cancelled. If you are a subscriber in the community, feel free to go and read Dane's comment, but I will not be doing it out loud. Do I play Cheese against the Warriors or play Harry Grant coming back from injury against the Panthers? Cheers, thanks for the year. My pleasure, Dano. Harry Grant. I know I've said that I think he's a great sit this week, but mate, Cheese, that bloke, his Supercoach game has just gone up shit creek from the glory days at the Storm. He's had a few decent scores of late in the 50s with I think about a 16 there the week that I had to play him as an AE. Disappointing, but they had tries and line breaks. Not to say Cheese can't score well, but he's just become very attack reliant for a 50-odd minute middle forward. So, yeah. One from, I know Noz has sort of chimed in on that one already. Next up from DJ Sullo. Good to have you back from Europe, mate. Good to be back, DJ. It was about a month ago now, but appreciate it nonetheless. 2 quick questions. Head-to-head player, 4 trades left. Would you prefer to buy for this week A, Teddy and Marju, or B, Toya and Sasangi? Ooh. I think Teddy and Marju, again on the assumption Teddy's playing. I love Sasangi's matchup with the Broncos this week, but we do need to factor in there is this shoulder concern. Whilst you've probably got 4 trades left, so you've got a bit to work with, don't get me wrong, but Sasangi does have the bye next week, so you would have to trade him out. Yeah, if Teddy's playing, Teddy and Marju for me. Pick 2 of these to play this week. Jaden Campbell, Kiraz, Duncan, Fini Fuiaki, and Toby Couchman. I would play Fini Fuiaki. Kiraz has upside, Couchman has security. Gee, great problem to have. Your squad must be looking that good. I'd play Fini Fuiaki. Kiraz, maybe get some attack against the Dragons. I think you have to play Kiraz against the Drags, don't you? But yeah, all good options. The Terriers, going for broke, final 2 trades, playing against his old man. Whiskey and Cigar is on the line. What a great prize. All in, Tamare and Walsh to Savala and Billy Smith. Lock and load, mate. Left side, strong side. Josh, thoughts on VC Cleary into C. Hines or Sam Walker? Love it. And I think Sam Walker. I think you'd go Sam Walker against the Tigs, don't you? Lock that in. Next one in from Hectic Lord. Sorry for the longest question. I won't read it all out, but basically needs a 2RF. His opponent has Sasangi, Finifuaki, 12. He doesn't love any of them, and he's looking at options such as Preston, Wilton, Nikora, Wong, Fiketti, Willison, and IPAP. Whoever he gets will be there for the end. I quite like Fiketti with that matchup against the Tigers, but I don't mind IPAP. Provided the Storm run out as named, he's been so good this year. There's a bit of Finifuaki about him where I think people have owned for a while would be very pleasantly, they'd be content with having him. But I think I'm surprised he hasn't had more attacking stats. He's come very close a lot of times, but they haven't quite fallen for him. But if Trent Tolau lines up at 7, which he's expected to, that's a brilliant matchup for IPAP, who he doesn't need attack. He can score well in his base and power alone. Every chance at finding some attack tonight in that one. So I think I like the IPAP play. And yeah, again, like a Fiketti against the Tigers, coming up against Madden, a good one as well. But IPAP's the proven player there. So I think I would go with Isaiah Papali'i. Limmy, horrible sit B start choices this round. Don't give me horrible, mate. This is a good position to be in. You consider yourself very lucky, Limmy. Sit 2 out of Simi, Rauchman, Duncan, Kiraz, Iro, Fa'alonga. You're taking the mickey, mate. Play Simi against the Broncos. I think you just play Rauchman every week, don't you? He's a beast. You play Iro. Oh, God. I'd sit Duncan against the Warriors reluctantly, and then I'd play Iro, so I would sit Kiraz or Fa'alonga. I think you got to play Kiraz against the Dragons, don't you? Yeah, I'd probably sit Duncan and Fa'alonga, but seriously, what a great problem to have. All right, Dr. Docs, trust your well-being back in God's country, mate. Much needed head-to-head advice. Would you go with Teddy trade this week? And if so, who to trade to get him? Unfortunately, it would have to need to be one of Sua, Jenkins, Cobbo, or Asako. I wouldn't trade either of the Dolphins wingers, I don't think, this week. I don't think I'd trade Jenkins. I like Sua to Teddy this week. Yeah, if that's the one, especially if you've got trades in the bank, there might be an option to get Sua back in next week for the Broncos game, which is a good matchup of those guys, and it's very hard. But yeah, I think Sua to Teddy this week. The only issue there is if Teddy doesn't play. But again, if Teddy's not in, and you can change that to Billy Smith or Marky Mark or whoever it is, still in a good spot. So I think Sua to Teddy is the play. A bit of a proviso that if you can get him back next week. Question in from, who have we got here? Peeling Oranges. I'm already starting to get sad about not hearing the dulcet tones during the week. Mate, we've got Supercoach finals to come. Plenty more for the rest of the season before, you'll have a week off my voice and you'll be like, how bloody good is this? So don't stress too much. Head-to-head prelims this week, and I play my wife. Holy heck, there's some bragging rights on the line for that one. I think I've got a beat, and even if not, more concerned about what games to target for next week. Let's have a quick look, for people in this position that are going the early crow and they're confident in their matchup. I think Broncos Storm, Suncorp, if that's dry in good conditions Thursday night. Sua, Fa'alonga, love him for that one. Manly and the Dragons, Meh, Doggies, Penrith, Avoid, Titans, Rabbitohs, Saturday 3 p.m. Gold Coast, Points, Dave Fafita, Jaden Campbell to a lesser degree, Tallis Duncan, some really good matchups there. Roosters, Dolphins, SC Playbook Day at the Footy, get your tickets. That is going to be a cracker. Probably wouldn't target that one Supercoach-wise. Cowboys, Tigers, boom, there's your matchup. Especially, that'll be a 6-day turnaround for the Tigers, going to Townsville. Oh, dear Lord. Cowboys playing for a final spot to lock it in. Scott Drinkwater. I got him last week. I need something from you, Drinky, but I think he'll be a fantastic player next week. Warriors, Knights. No. Sharks, Eels. Looms is a good one from the Sharks, but it's at CommBank. I don't think that'd be as good as probably it reads on paper. So, yeah, the ones to target next week, I think Cowboys and Tigers is the matchup. Guys, if you tune into this podcast, chances are you think you're a bit of an expert in fantasy sport, or you can put it to the test with smart play. And we're also looming into finals. Thankfully, we do now have Supercoach finals to get us through that. When I say get us through that period of finals footy, once again, tough life we do live as sport fans. But on top of that, if you want a little bit of added interest with the Supercoach regular season and the big one over and done with, a bit of smart play, pick a squad. Each player has a value. Pick your skippers, watch your team roll up, and down the leaderboard throughout the game in real time. Budgets are tight. Primos, they cost a mozza, so you need to nail your bargain buys. It is good fun. The SC Playbook community involved. I'm involved each and every week. So take us on across the round. No reliance on committing to a whole season or even a whole weekend. It's just one simple game, guys. Give it a crack yourself. The link to that is in the podcast description on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. Or you can use the coupon code SC Playbook and they'll put some coins in your account when you do so. Alrighty, one from Mefo. Hey Timbo, love your work. Thank you, mate. Appreciate the getting your questions in. Last reserve out of Pascoe, Hosking, or Preston? Not Pascoe. I like Hosking and Preston. However, I would play Preston. Hosking, they're both good matchups. I had a stat in my article this week around Jacob Preston. He's got a 3-round average of 67 or so. He has not registered from memory, not from memory, it's like a single attacking stat in the last 3 games. Scores of 65, 70, 68, base in that time alone of 67, 64, 62. Attack just has not come, but he's scoring really well. The attack will come. He's a weapon. Dragons this week, great matchup. Doggies playing for their finals aspirations. I like Hosking as well against the Broncos. However, I think Matty Nicholson has the better matchup against Ezra Mam in that edge this week. It's a shame Hosking is not on that Ezra edge, as he'd be a huge play. Still is a good play, but I think, that the other edge is the one you want there. So like them both, but, mate, I would play Jacob Preston of those guys. All right. And lucky last before my trades, Richo, my current reserves are Teddy, Duncan, Iro, and Marju. I'm considering trading Tamari Martin to Walker. Would you do it if it meant dropping one of those reserves, and who would you drop? Luxury trade, as we say. Mate, without seeing your squad, if you're comfortable with how your squad's looking, say there's a bit of carnage to come with injuries and restings and different sorts of things. If you've got a deep squad, maybe you've got a couple of trades up the sleeve still to deal with anything that does come, pull the trigger. Yeah, go for it. It's such a great matchup for Sammy Walker and the Roosters, and then you could drop one of those guys. If you're nervous and you don't have great depth and you think you'll need that trade, then I'd hold fire, as I think it's not sideways, it's an upgrade, but it's a little bit short-term thinking. So, yeah, if you're comfortable moving forward, pull the trigger. Alrighty, guys, my trade and skipper plans for the week. At the moment, it is still just the one of Reece Walsh to Mark Nwangita-Waze for that clash against the Tigs on Sunday afternoon. Should Marky Mark be ruled out, I'd probably flip, and I reckon I'd go to Billy Smith at 1.3% ownership Superpod. I tried to have my arm twisted in the YouTube comments of our Tuesday night podcast. So shout out, I can't remember his name, but you did get me thinking. I'm just looking at the 160k price difference between Billy Smith and Nwangita-Waze, and that's a lot of money to work with in coming trades. Billy Smith's injury history does scare me as well. But yeah, if Marky's ruled out, I'd probably then go to Billy Smith. If Teddy's ruled out, I'm down a fullback, and it means I'll be relying on an AE in Brandon Smith. Get over the line, Cheese, if it gets to that point, unless I pulled the trigger on another trade, which I'm a little reluctant to do, but perhaps that is an option. I can finally get rid of Atavali Lasardi. Anyway, guys, that will do us. All my captains for the week, VC Nico Hines into, as it stands, James Tedesco. Yeah, if Teddy was ruled out, I'd flip it over to Mark Nwangita-Waze. Alrighty, guys, that'll do us for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Good luck if you're alive in your head-to-head leagues, the overall race, all those good things. Have a cracking week.